You are listening to the CAD Call podcast. This is the place where computer-aided design and drafting meets humor and practicality, with a touch of business acumen thrown in for fun. Jim and Rocco, the owners of Zentech Consultants, the premier U.S. technology consulting firm for architecture, engineering, construction, and manufacturing, discuss the fascinating world of CAD with some humor and some honesty. The CAD Call podcast. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the CAD Call podcast. I am Jim Coppinger from Zentech Consultants, and with me, as always, is my partner and ever gregarious, Mr.
Rocco Parisi.
Rocco Parisi. How you doing today, Rocco?
Oh, just ducky yourself.
You know what? I'm alive and on the right side of the grass, so I'm going to call that a win and move on from there.
There you go.
So, all right. So, today's topic. What do we got for today's topic? Oh, today we're talking about training your CAD staff. There's a better way. Okay? So, there's always a better way, right? We're all about better ways. It's what we do. So, all right. So, today we're talking about, training CAD and design staff and even construction staff, really. I guess it doesn't really matter, what you're doing in terms of training here. But, we tend to focus in that design and CAD world in the construction industry. So, that's what we'll talk about. All right. So the training is becoming, I think, a really vital topic. I think especially today with the new paradigm of folks who are working from home or otherwise remotely. People are away from their traditional office locations, and I think one of the major issues that all companies face is what do you do when you're in a slow period, right? Whether it's just from a regular seasonal slowdown or you got other big events going on that may change the way that your people are working. I think that we all struggle with at least trying to keep people productive when they can't necessarily be billable. And I think that, most everybody listening here understands that, downtimes are going to happen, right? And that they're not necessarily a bad thing, right? That, you can turn those periods to looking towards, preparation for when the work comes back up. You can look at refinement, right? Making things go more smoothly. And most importantly, to my mind, you can look at training. When you're busy with project work, you can't really spare the time, to improve your staff skills or have them learn, new practices and new techniques. Right? Even though, most everybody, especially employers, realize the long-term benefits to their bottom line. By having well-trained staff, right? We the problem is we all default to the not right now model of training, right? Because we can't afford to take production people off the billable jobs that they're working on right now. So times of slowdown, whatever the cause, are I think particularly useful, right? From a business standpoint, right? They give you the chance to invest a little bit of money and not just keep your best employees busy, right? But to set them up so that they're going to be even more productive when your work comes back to full throttle. Rocco, training, right? Obviously, it's a big part of what we do here at Zentech, right? I guess it's probably half of our entire business. How much impact do slow times impact the company's? Well, how do the slow times impact our business, right? And do most companies focus on training during their slowdown periods, or do you think that they're just focused on training as kind of an ongoing business process throughout the year?
It depends on the firm. Everybody, like in life, everybody reacts differently to different situations. I mean, I tend to find that larger firms do have training programs, initiatives in place to spend a certain amount of money on training, whereas a lot of smaller firms, they kind of try to look ahead at their workload and say, okay, we're gonna need this training coming up. Let's take a look at what's out there, what our vendors are offering, what's available, and then you have your grouping of people that are, oh my God, we need to learn this product tomorrow, and can you,
in 5 minutes, can you just show me how to do? Yeah, I talk to them a lot.
Yeah. So it's kind of all over the map.
Okay. All right. So one of the other aspects that I see that I think impacts training decisions it comes down, I think, a lot of times to a number of things, right? Like available facilities in the client's office, right? And not every office has, large conference rooms with projectors or smart boards, and they don't have the ability to have a dozen students all, set up in a single location for a trainer to come in and work with their staff, right? I mean, that's a very traditional training format, right? We all got used to that over like the last, 20, 30 years, where, the instructor comes in and you all sit in a room together and you spend a day or, sometimes even a full week, right? Learning all the cool new tools that you need to be the best, CAD or design people out there. And I think what you run up against with that is that, not only can that cause logistic problems, I think it's also an issue with effective learning. The truth of it is when you try to do an 8-hour long info dump on anybody's brain, it just shuts down. I've been teaching and training for a lot of years, and I've been a student in a lot of these classes, and honestly, I think one of the biggest things you run up against is what I call, not what I call it, so the law of diminishing returns, right? Once you pass like the 2-hour mark, there's just too much information for too long of a period for your people to retain. Right? And that's why there's been, I think, growing resistance to training over the last 10 years or so. Employers, I think, are really tired of investing money and time, and dedicating staff to training when they're not getting the results that they were really looking for, not getting the results they want. So Rocco, is that what you're hearing, from our clients? I mean, are there folks who push back against training because they don't think they're going to get, the results they want, or maybe they've had, bad past experiences with trainers?
Yeah, at some level, and I know, you're looking to talk about this a little bit further down the road, but I mean, or in this conversation, but they definitely react positively to the structure that we offer in 2-hour segments. Because they just have so much going on, particularly in the AC industry. They're just overloaded with work. And so, to isolate 8 hours of time, it's a lot. It's a lot to expect from people. And it's a big data dump, like you're saying. They just can't absorb that much information and be productive with it afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I don't care how good you are. Nobody's pulling a full 8 hours of data on one topic into their brain and holding on to that for any length of time. Right. So,
if you're my wife, you could just, absorb that.
Of course, not a problem, Listen, she's used to dealing with you. She can absorb anything. So, let's face it, Jamie is smarter than all of us.
She does listen to these podcasts, Jim.
I know, that's why she likes me better than she likes you, because I'm nice to her, man. Not that I'm nice to my wife, right? That's why Anita likes you better than she likes me. Be nice to each other's wives. You don't have to be nice to your own wife. That's not the way America works. Come on. Right. So I guess the question, right, is what's the answer, right? If you need to train your staff, right? But the results of the training that you've had in the past are disappointing, right? What do you do, right? And it's exactly where Rocco was going, right? The answer, I think, is really pretty simple. It's all about online training presented in small, absorbable. If it is absorbable a word, I don't know. It should be a word. I like it. Absorbable. Sounds a little odd.
I like it.
I like it. We'll go with it. It's a word today. You get these absorbable pieces that your people can take classes, right from their own desk in these small segments, and they can attend the training and learn what you need, whether they're at home or, whether they're in the office or traveling, whatever's going on. All right. So that's kind of the concept that we want to talk about here today. All right. And we're going to do that. And we're going to talk more about this type of training scenario after a quick word from today's sponsor. We'll be right back with more of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's episode of the Cattle Call Podcast is brought to you by Zen-Tech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. We're bringing ourselves to you. Aren't we nice? So we wanted to talk to you guys today about some of the things that we offer at Zen-Tech Consultants. In particular, we wanted to talk to you today about our offerings around developing and upgrading your CAD standards. We are here to help you guys with all of your CAD standard needs, from ongoing drafting and design support to block and library development, full CAD standards development, right? CAD version upgrades, really whatever it is that you guys need when it comes to developing, implementing, and tweaking your current CAD standards. Or like I said, if you don't have any yet, we can help you build them from scratch. So Rocco, why don't you tell all the good folks how they can reach out to us and start that conversation?
Yeah, there's a lot of information, people, on our website, zentechconsultants.net. That's ZENTEK consultants.net. Or you can give us a call, 866-824-4459, or even drop us an email, sales@zentechconsultants.net.
Ooh, nice. CAD standards from Zentech Consultants. You're listening to the CAD Call Podcast. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the CAD Call Podcast with Jim and Rocco from Zentech Consultants. All right, so today we've been discussing, better ways of training in the CAD and design world. And before we get into the details of, what we think are the best options, we need to do our weekly visit of the numbers. Okay, you ready? You ready for the maths again, Rocco?
I am.
I know you love my maths. All right, so did some quick interweb research here, and I went to hit e-learning industry and a little bit of Deloitte research, and I came up with some facts about the online training industry. Okay, so for starters, the total online training market, right? This is just strictly online training. It's estimated to be a $325 billion industry, right, each year by 2025. So it's growing dramatically, and I think it's actually going to grow faster than that. So the self-paced or recorded on-demand market, right, where you've got predefined recordings where people can take it at their own time, at their own pace, that is estimated to be just that portion of it, not even a live training, just a recorded, 33.5 billion by the end of next year. That's huge. All right. Now, here's the thing that threw me, right? 77% of all U.S. companies have considered online learning, all right, over the last year. Okay, that's a pretty good number. But here's the thing that really blew my mind. Only 32% of those companies actively engaged in the online training this year, right? Despite, here's the other facts that I think are great. Regular online training leads to a 218% higher revenue per employee each year for your company, right? And every single dollar that a company invests in training, they make back $30 in profit, right? So, to me, that's a crazy return on investment. I mean, 30 times your investment, the stock market don't turn that way. I know my 401 and IRA don't turn that well. Yours might. We're not all as wealthy as you, we know. But, we don't have our independent portfolios and our yachts and, homes in Italy and all the good things that you have. I'm just saying.
Right.
Yeah. I shouldn't say these things because Jamie's going to start thinking that you really have those. And it's going to be, wait a minute, why don't I see that money? So like I said, but with that kind of an ROI, how can any company even consider bypassing the online training setup, right? And like I said, and that's the key, right? It's the tie to that online training process, and that's where I want to focus for the rest of this discussion today. So, let's.
Yeah, I don't know where to throw in this thought, Jim, but I mean, aside from those statistics, which are definitely interesting, you have the fact that the what do they call it? Just employee satisfaction component, right? I mean, when a company invests in their personnel, yeah. It's a satisfaction standpoint. Hey, my company is investing in me. My company believes enough in me to invest in my training so that I can do my job better and be more productive. And that holds a lot of weight. We've been through a period of several years now where it's really, really difficult to find qualified staff, particularly in the AC industry. And there's places to go. There's a lot of people are hiring but can't fill those positions. So people want to be assured that they're satisfied in their role, that their managers appreciate them. And so,
it's funny you say that. I mean, we've done a number of presentations over the past few years where I've kind of brought that out. And I don't recall the study. It was a large technical study done like 2 or 3 years ago, where out of all of the respondents to the survey, 90% of them said that they would prefer to have ongoing training, and they would take that in place of a raise. And really it is that important, keeping your people happy, keeping them satisfied, making them feel valuable, and training in the long term, right? It's about, like you said, with a shortage of personnel to hire from outside, taking the people you have currently who you know and trust and who understand your process, and training them to be better, either at the job they have or training them for the next level of job up, giving people that forward momentum. It's huge in today's job market. So that's an outstanding point, So,
Yeah.
so let's jump back to that, like I said, that number that only 32% of firms are engaging in what is obviously a huge money-making endeavor just by training, right? It satisfies your people. It earns you more money. It makes your jobs better and faster. So you do most of the talking to our clients. Does that 32% number, does that reflect what you see? And really, from those conversations, what possible reason can companies have to miss out on those type of benefits?
I don't know, Jim. It's hard to say. I mean, that number definitely seems pretty low. I mean, I think we find that a lot of companies are investing in training, so I'm surprised. But it's kind of a general that figure isn't specific to an industry, right? I mean, it's a broad.
Yeah, it's more of a broad-based spectrum, right? So there may be industries where they're not doing that throw it off much. I think I would agree with you. I think that in the AEC world, right, architecture, engineering, construction, that there's a lot more time and effort and money dedicated towards the training, simply because it is such a quickly changing environment, right? And let's face it, those companies operate at low profit margins, and they really have to be efficient in order to stay competitive. So I do think I would agree with you. I don't think it's quite that low in our particular niche market.
Right.
So, okay. All right. So, before we started Zentek Consultants together, right, Rocco and I worked together at an Autodesk reseller. And training was or had been really a very large part of their income for years. In particular, they had a dedicated training lab, with computers and a smart board, right? They had, dedicated laptops for all the students. But one of the things we saw is that, in our last few years there was a distinct drop-off in training, right? The training lab was usually empty. And, when we went out on our own, right, here with Zentek, one of the things that we did is we intentionally looked for and developed a different, and I'll be honest and say I think it's a much better training model, all right, that we still use to this day. All of our classes are presented online, which is what we're talking about here, the benefits of online training, right? And we use tools like, GoToTraining and WebEx. And what it does is it allows students to log in directly from their own desks with no need for travel or other expenses. Excuse me. So, right off the bat, there's a big money savings right there for the company. But I think, the other thing that we do, right, is that we present all of our courses in maximum 2-hour long sessions. We do not go beyond a 2-hour long session, right? Which goes back to what we were saying earlier about, too much info dump. Most of our classes, are 2 hours, or 8 hours in total. But, we only do those once or twice at max a week, right? So we're doing 2-hour sessions, multiple times to finish out that 8-hour training class. And I think that really does two things. Number one, it keeps your people productive. They're not losing an entire day traveling to a training center or even just tied up in classes for a full 8 hours, right? And I think, more importantly, you circumvent that pesky law of diminishing returns again, right? By, keeping us, or keeping any training that you're running down to a 2-hour maximum, right? All your students can learn and retain everything that their instructor shows them pretty easily. I think, those bite-sized portion classes, I think it also gives them the opportunity to work with the material hands-on in their current project. Once they get off the training, they can go and apply it directly to a job. And then they can come back to the next session with any questions or concerns or issues they ran ran into in the real world. Instead of trying for 8 hours straight to just furiously take notes and remember everything that you dropped on them across a full 8 hours, right? That's nuts. So, all right, so Rocco, let me ask you this, right? So, like I said, we kind of built our business, and our reputations really on this training model, this online 2-hour training model. What do you hear from people in the CAD design construction world about that methodology? I mean, at this point, we've literally trained thousands of people, right? What's the response you get on the the shorter online training methods instead of the full day in person type stuff?
Oh, they really like it. I mean, I still get a lot of calls from people. Hey, we'd like to have somebody on site. Can you guys come visit us? And I'll tell them, sure, if you guys want, we're happy to come out to you. But these are the reasons why we recommend doing it online. Number one, you save money. You don't have to pay us to travel to you. Number two, we break it out into those 2-hour sessions like you're describing. And it gives the opportunity for students to break the course out over 2 or 4 weeks, depending upon how classes are structured, and they like it. They're definitely more in tune with the idea because they feel the same way. Gosh, you're going to be here 8 hours, 16 hours, at a time. It's a lot of information to absorb, and I have to, in order to have somebody on site, now you have to block out a whole day where a team is not productive for that day.
Yeah.
They're not billable. They're not productive. So people really like the idea.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest expense I think that people forget about when you're talking about investing in training. It's the loss of income, right? When your people aren't billable, they're not productive. That's where you can run into some issues. So, all right. So I think one of the other benefits that I see in any kind of online training, it's what we call it the leave behind. It's one of the things that we do is we give all of our students access to a recording of the classes for a couple of days after the class, so that they can refer back and revisit areas they weren't sure of, or if they need to work again at their own pace, right? We leave that recording with them for a few days to get comfortable with it. And, in addition to that, we also give written handouts, right? Usually in like a PDF format from every class, right? So they have a permanent refresher so that even, weeks or months down the road, they can, look back and kind of, jumpstart the brain on what it is that we talk about. And I think that's a benefit you just can't get from that on-premises training, and the other thing that I think is important when you're dealing with online training, and I know we're trying not to do a sales thing here, right? But we're talking about Zentech because it's what we know, it's where we are. But we actually offer classes in two modes, right? We do both live, online, and we also do on-demand training. So here, Rocco, explain to everybody what the difference between those two modes are.
Jim, before I answer your question, I just had an idea that popped to mind. I think
it never bodes well for me when you have ideas.
I think we should. I think we should send out, signed autographs by you, with all of our handouts. I think that's a huge selling point.
See, and that's finally an idea that I actually like. I could be famous. I would say include my headshot, but that would just frighten people. Nobody needs to see me. No, that's not good.
No, but the difference between our training methods is our live online courses are available either through public classes where you can sign up for any of our scheduled public classes where you have other students from other firms across the country and sometimes around the world also joining you. You're able to ask questions live via chat, or we can run private classes for you. If you've got a group of folks, we can run any of our classes specifically for your group, or even customize the classes to run specifically for your group, and you'd be one-on-one with an instructor and be able to ask questions back and forth. And a lot of people like that team structure because they're one-on-one with their teams and they're able to talk about their workflows, their issues, their challenges. The other option is the on-demand platform. You can purchase most of our classes are available on demand, so you'd have access to the full 8-hour class for five full business days.
Okay. Yeah, and that gives just where you can, folks can watch that whenever it's convenient for them, right? When it fits into their schedule, whether it's over lunch or, after hours or whatever. So, it just depends on what people are looking. I think those are the kind of things you need to look for in any kind of a good training system, not just ours, right? You got to have that flexibility. Some people need that live interaction, and some folks need to be able to, watch the videos and do the stuff at, 10 o'clock at night while they're sitting at home. Just depends on who you are and how you're working. So I think to kind of, to sum it up here, when it comes to training in the CAD design world, you're going to train your people. It doesn't matter if they're in the office or at home or traveling. I think that it's pretty clear that online training of some kind is your best bet. All right, now, and obviously, right, I'm prejudiced. I think that Zentech offers the best training out there. Right, but the takeaway here is that no matter who you choose or whatever type of training you're getting involved with, right? It doesn't have to be with us or with what we're doing. You want to go and look for someone who's offering short online classes with some type of a leave behind, right? Something that you can refer to after the class is over. Right? And of course, you want them offering classes across a wide variety of topics and different skill levels. All right, so and listen, the one thing I just want to walk away, I can't stress enough that anything more than a 2-hour block of training, regardless of what it is you're training on, you're just wasting time. Okay? Paying people to train you on site, you're wasting time and money, whether it's, at your place or at the trainers, you're wasting time and money. So that's my thought. Online training is the way to go in short 2-hour segments, and look for those leave behinds. All right? Anything you want to add to that, Rocco?
No, I think I'm good.
All right. So with that, folks, we are out of here. We will catch you guys in the next episode of the Cattle Call Podcast. All right, everybody. Today's Cattle Call was brought to you courtesy of Zentech Consultants. That's Rocco and I. Zentech Consultants works with design and manufacturing firms to help our clients purchase and implement the software that they need in these complex industries. We provide a single point of contact for clients to buy, develop, and learn the most vital software systems for your specific needs. Zentech strives to be your trusted technology partner from your initial needs all the way through long-term support and training for your entire staff. So Rocco, why don't you tell them how to reach out to Zentech?
All right, yeah, you can reach out to us through zentechconsultants.net. You can email us at sales@zentechconsultants.net. Or you could even call us, 866-824-4459.
Excellent. We look forward to hearing from y'all.